moving on. So Reji is like 13 years old now, and for a while they just do like their routine stuff. He goes to school, they do their training, yada yada. What I should mention is that the Reji is actually showing a lot of success in the marksman's training. So he's good at the relative to how much he's been practicing. He's also quite good at martial arts actually, so he definitely has some talent for that. Quite a bit of talent for that actually, but his results in the marksman training have been very, very, very good relative to how long he's been training. And so she's quite impressed with that. Obviously, she's still much better at that than him, but relative, for being a 13-year-old boy, he's been doing this for a couple of years now. He's doing very, very well. So anyway, they go back to the regular training stuff, and so, as has been the setting, in this world, magic users are looked down upon. And so, until his parents died, he just grew up in a normal family that had normal levels of prejudice. And then also his parents got killed by magic users, by a magic user. So Reji doesn't exactly have the best viewpoint on magic users. He doesn't have distinct hatred for them or anything, but it's basically he's been growing up and people have been telling him, yo, stay away from those guys. And then also one of them killed his parents, even though he knows that was not just a random guy that did that for fun or whatever, but that was someone who it wasn't even a guy, it was a woman, but whatever. The other control magic user was a woman, a fire magic user, the one who killed his parents. So it's not like he knows that this out of control thing is a thing, but he still just has this not super deeply rooted, but this kind of learned prejudice of them, basically. And so far in those 3 years that he's been with Lilia, they just haven't really talked about magic users at all. You don't encounter magic users that often in your day-to-day life. You see them following around the master or whatever on occasion. But first off, magic users are fairly rare. And then also, usually you don't interact with them, you just see them following the master or whatever, then you go about whatever else you were doing. And so magic users haven't really come up in conversations between them so far. And Lilia also has never brought up the topic intentionally or anything. And now Lilia decides that she wants Reji to meet her colleagues from her job, which is the same that Reji has now, now in where the actual story takes place. And Lilia is very... Lilia has no prejudice regarding magic users at all. For her, they're just people, and they can do some things that other people can't do, basically. And so she invites them over to her place, and they meet Reji. Nothing like special happens or anything. This is just like he just wants to show Reji that these are just like normal people, and they have like they talk, they tell some funny stories and shit. Like they just have like normal conversations, basically. And this was really just to illustrate, like she really just wanted to illustrate that these are just people, like everybody else. And Reji it's not like this one like conversation event would suddenly make the Reji like open his eyes and be like, wow, it's normal people, but like it does like start to make him question why magic users are so ostracized. And at some point he like asks Lilia about this topic, like about why magic users are ostracized. That if the colleagues of Lilia are exceptions, like that they're just like nice people, but like other magic users aren't or whatever. And he just like explains that this explains the general concept of, well, they're different, they're scary, and there's not a lot of them. So like people can't afford to treat them like this, and yada yada, and like push them down and shit. And Reji like understands this, like consciously, but there's still just like this learned prejudice that he has, like just like subconsciously, basically. Like he knows, okay, these are just like normal people, but just because he knows that doesn't mean that when he looks at a magic user, he doesn't like just like feel a little bit, basically. And so again, they just go by their routines and whatever. And at some point, when he's 14, Lilia decides that she has a new thing or a new way for Reji to learn. Because we like Lilia's training has like been building up, but now it's been stagnant for a while, and now something new is coming up. And so we have this 14-year-old boy, and she decides that he should live on the streets for a while. And so on the evening of one day, she tells him that he should live on the street, like he should just go live on the streets for half a year and then come back. And he's not allowed to like live with somebody else, like not allowed to live with like a school friend. He's not allowed to come back home here. He just has to see how he can fare on his own for a while. And Reji is like, again, it's like, what the fuck is this now? But at this point, Reji is starting to get used to her unique training methods. So he's like, oh, he really doesn't want to do this, but like, alright. So it's evening, and he goes outside and just like wanders around town trying to find somewhere where he can get food and somewhere where he can sleep somehow. And he is like very soon approached by a police officer who questions him why he's outside this late at night. And Reji tries to run away, but at this point the police officer is like right there by him, so he just grabs him. And then he's questioned, and the police officer brings him back home to Lilia. And Lilia is pretty, just like generally, Lilia's way of expressing herself, she's very, I'm not sure that stoic is exactly the right word, but she's pretty to the point, I guess. She's she says what she wants to say. She doesn't mix in a lot of emotion with what she's saying. He doesn't, I mean, it's not like she doesn't express emotion. She definitely does that, but it's like she's not overly dramatic. Yeah, like he's not stoic the way that the Reji is later in the story, but she's also her range of expressing herself is just like rather small. Like if you know her for a while, you can like pretty clearly tell like what she's feeling when she's expressing herself. It's just that her, like if you compare her to someone who like laughs their heart out when they're happy and like wail in sorrow when they're sad, she just like has a much smaller range where she's like she only smiles and like her voice gets a bit more mellow when she's happy, and when she's angry she like just like uses a bit shorter, like a bit more like sharper pronunciation, stuff like that. So her range of expressing emotions is just smaller. Okay. And this police officer brings him back, and Lilia very dramatically thanks the police officer that she's been so worried that so Reji when questioned by the police officer, he didn't talk about the whole thing with like how he was sent out. He just said that well, like he asked me where the home is, like what are you doing outside, and then it's like just like kind of dodging the question. It's like saying he's just like wandering around, and then like where his home is, and then he was just taking that. Like he didn't like talk about the whole thing where Lilia told him to do this, because at this point, like, or not really at this point, like he's very aware that his like home situation is pretty weird, but he doesn't dislike his home situation, and he doesn't like want to put attention to it. So and then Lilia just like it's like this super dramatic like apology, like being super thankful to the with the police officer, and like he's like promising that this will never happen again. Like he's like the police officer like kind of okay, well, calm down, it's okay. And so the police officer leaves, and Reji is like, what the fuck just happened? Because like he's known her for 4 years now. He's like 14 at this point, and he's never seen her behave like this. And as soon as the police officer is gone, she's totally back to normal. And she just tells him, he just waits like a bit and tells him to get out there again. In the middle of the night. And so Reji goes out there again in the middle of the night. This time it takes him a couple days, 2 days before he was found. But while he has been able to find some water, he didn't manage to get any food. So he gets home and he's found again by the police guy. Not the same police guy, like a different police guy. He comes home, he eats something, and then he's sent out again. And like basically the idea is he can try this as many times as he wants, but he only wins. He only passes the trial, if you want, if he manages like half a year without interruptions. And after a while, like this, it goes on for a while where he's just like sent back every couple days. Until he eventually, like the way, like he's starting to get like so like for water, there's like a fountain in the town which has drinkable water. Well, yeah, maybe not the cleanest water ever, but it's fine. It's not like illness inducing or anything. It's just like not quite tap water quality, I guess. And for food, she first tries begging, and that works out a couple times. He manages to not be found by the police while he's doing the begging, at least. But eventually, begins to start stealing. First, some pickpocketing, and then later, like stealing from grocery stores. And now back to Lilia's perspective. Lilia actually has a net of cameras set up throughout town, like everywhere throughout town, and so she keeps watching what Reji is doing. And what is the purpose of this thing? Well, first there's a couple things. First off, she wants to make sure that he isn't just some sheltered guy who lives only off of what's provided for him. And the other thing that she wants him to learn is a little bit of empathy for magic users who lost their master and have to live on the streets. But of course, being a magic user on the streets is like much harder than what Reji is going through, because well, if you're like a guy just walking around town in the middle of the day, like nobody cares. But if you're a magic user walking around town in the middle of the day, then a lot of people are gonna care. Well, chaos, like, overstatement, but that's well, you're not going to be treated nicely, and also there's a chance you might get reported, and then if you don't have a leave permit with you, well, you're fucked. And Leah makes sure that every time Reji pickpockets something, or, well, the only thing he pickpockets is money or food. And he got caught for that before, but he never... He did that only like 3 times, and one of those he got caught, but when he got caught, he managed to run away before he got, like, reported. And Lilia made sure to reimburse those people that he stole from. And then so he went to the grocery store to try to steal there. But actually, at that grocery store, while he was in the process of stealing, the grocery store got attacked by an out of control magic user. And Reji managed to flee through a back door because he was helped by another magic user who was not out of control. And he wouldn't have had the possibility to go through the front entrance because there was the magic user, and then the magic user was closing in like on the others, and this unknown magic user showed him like there's like this employer only entry, and then he went there, and then there was like a sort of hidden way out, like not hidden as in like secret passage, but like it's not, if you don't work there, it's like not obvious that you can go in that direction and go out. And so he was helped by that guy. And then also like he had the stuff he had stolen with him, and nobody was gonna make a fuss about that at that point in time. And so the out of control magic user was put down by Lilia and her colleagues. And he got into talking a bit with this magic user, and the magic user told him that instead of stealing from the grocery store here, it's much easier to just take like leftover food from the trash stuff that was mentioned in Mark's backstory. That's the same grocery store. And obviously, like, they just thanked him for helping him, whatever. And through this event too, Reji had like gotten some first-hand experience interacting with an unknown magic user and seeing that, hey, this was a good guy. And from then on, Reji started using this trash thing to get food. Yeah. And then on this attempt, basically, where this happened, is when he eventually managed to finish this half year. I don't want to like go too far into what's happening over this half year. I guess it's like he finds places to sleep that are somewhat decently comfortable, and where he over time found out that police aren't really checking, or like more hidden. He does the grocery store stuff. He always has to figure out how to get past guards and shit. He still goes to school during that time. Well, at the start of the time he goes to school, but he doesn't exactly have like a great way to change his clothes and stuff. So because it would arise suspicion if he came in with the same clothes every day, and like washing is also sort of hard because there's only so many open sources of water. Yeah, there's that fountain, but like having to go there every night, like it's like somewhat away from where he would where he sleeps, or where he doesn't have one place where he sleeps, but like a general area or the areas where he sleeps. So like washing clothes is like not that easy for him sometimes, and it would arise suspicion. So he stops going to school, and seeing that, Lilia goes to the school and tells them that he is on leave for a while for some made-up reason. And yeah, and eventually the half year finishes and he comes back. And like they congratulates him on winning and stuff. And they go back to training, and as it turns out, Reji had not really been practicing his martial arts during this half year, and so he's rusty as fuck. And as you would expect, Lilia is not happy with that. And so she makes him go through some really harsh training to get back into shape. And he tells him that he should have kept practicing even during this time. Obviously, she knew that he wasn't practicing because he was watching him like a lot. What was happening? Because it's not like she's just gonna leave him actually defend by himself. Like if something bad was actually gonna happen, she would have saved him, of course. But yeah, so we go back to training, and now another while goes past, and at some point he becomes 16. And by the way, he still hasn't gotten that hit off yet for that wish. That's so he's 16 now. And at this point, and also through like his experience, Reji has stopped mostly being prejudiced towards magic users. But Lilia tells him once again that he is supposed to do this fend for yourself thing. But this time, first off, for an entire year, and second off, to make the conditions more similar to how it would be if he was an actual magic user, or an actual marked one in that case. He is supposed to first of all, he's just like not supposed to run into police officers at all, like at any point, not during the day, not during the night, whatever. And also, he's not supposed to be in places where many people are, and if he is seen by someone at all, like just like in general, then he has to leave the place where he is and go somewhere else. So to like basically make an analogous situation where like if you're a magic user and you get seen by someone, there's a risk they might report you, so you have to get out of the way quickly. And like that those conditions are being simulated. And so he does that, and at this point he has experience being outside. And oh wait, there's like a stipulation though. He doesn't have to do this. Like, he doesn't have. First off, he's allowed to be. Yeah. He is allowed to. He doesn't have to run away from people that he makes sure of would not report a magic user, basically. So either like if they themselves are a magic user without a master, then they would certainly not report another magic user without a master because that's retarded. Or maybe they're a magic user with a master, but he can somehow like find out that they wouldn't report that because either their master wouldn't report them because they like magic users, like they're not prejudiced as magic users themselves, and so they also wouldn't make their own magic user like report to some other one, or because maybe they do have such a master, but he finds out somehow that this magic user is defiant of their master and they wouldn't report them, and stuff like that. So if we can find out that this person wouldn't report a magic user, then he is not. Then he doesn't have to run away. And of course, whether this rule is broken or not is based on Lilia's discretion by her watching. And so we do this. So he starts doing this. He basically goes into this alleyway network where he knows not a lot of people go. And he does struggle a bit at the start with like just like having to move location every time somebody sees you, just like really kind of annoying. But he gets used to it fairly decently. And at some point, like 1 or 2 weeks in, at this point he's like kind of dry practicing dry practicing martial arts, like just like techniques and stuff. But at some point he finds like while he's practicing this, he runs into a male magic user. And that magic user is not Mark. That magic user like comes up to him and like asks him about like the technique he's practicing, and they come to talking a little bit, and Reji is like keeping in mind that he has to find out if this magic user would report another magic user, and so he's asking like some leading questions to make him go into that direction, And as it turns out, this guy, his master is the master of a dojo for karate, and his master is like totally cool with magic users and stuff. So Reji deems it that he would not report a magic user, so he doesn't education, and they decide that they want to practice together because the Reji needs somebody to practice with, so he doesn't get reprimanded for not practicing again. And also, the magic user is interested in practicing against someone from not his own school of martial arts, so that he can get some more general experience. And the guy's pretty good, but Reji's better. But the guy, so Reji is like 16 at this point, and the other guy's like 18-ish. Reji's better, but the guy can definitely hold his own, and they make for good practice partners. There's nothing much more between them. Like they're not like good friends. They don't become like good friends or anything. They just like meet up every so often, like every day, sometimes every 2 days, and practice together. And then at some other point, he meets Mark, as was described in Mark's backstory, so I won't describe that again. And it teaches him about the stuff or whatever. And a fairly uneventful time goes by, fairly uneventful year, I guess. Practicing against the guy, checking up on Mark every so often, taking the trash from the grocery store, changing locations every so often, and at some point the year comes to a close. That's where I'll stop here, because it's already been over 37 minutes.